What up, Henschel Nation? It's your girl, Young Henny, getting it done on a Monday. We have been having some trouble identifying rhetorical appeals, and I'm here. I'm here to help you. So this video, I'm just going to cover it up real quick in this very short side of the article that you're going to read today. So this is just a snippet from the article that you guys are going to be reading. You're going to read the larger part. I'm just doing this side bit on the poor. So the worst city in America to be poor, to be born poor rather. This is from the Urbanite current issue, and I just want to put in a plug. Like, this is a pretty interesting take on the whole situation. So the Urbanite just released this whole series, their whole magazine, November magazine, on the uprising. So I think it's an interesting take on it. I think that we need to be careful when we're consuming media and thinking about what point of view it's from. So I'm not advocating everything from the point of view of all of this being completely factual or my opinion or stating my opinion. I'm just thinking it's an interesting read to add to our collection of readings on the uprising. So real quick, I want to go back to the document I was in. The worst city in America to be born poor. All right, I'm going to find the 3 different kinds of rhetorical devices. Remember, we're looking for logos, pathos, and ethos. And if I've done my job right, you've just watched a video to help sort of reinforce this. And I want you to really quickly, if you haven't already done so, define logos, pathos, and ethos in your organizer right here. After that, you're going to find examples of your own. So I'm going to do mine right now. I'm going to read through here, and I want to find an example of logos. And in my mind, logos is like anything that's like a logical, statistics, percents, facts, that kind of stuff. So, merely by being raised in low-income Baltimore neighborhood, Freddie Gray was lost in a sea of disadvantage. 2 Harvard economics professors produced a study in May showing that boys grow up to be poor in Baltimore families earn 1.4% less than adults for every year they've lived in impoverished areas. Okay, right away, Harvard, everyone knows what Harvard is. This, my friends, is logos, so I'm copying it and I'm pasting it into my article. And I'm going to come back and cite it here in a second because I need to figure out the guy's name who wrote this. So I'm just going to, for my sake for now, I'm just going to copy that. Because I want to be able to come back and use this if I'm writing a paper and I want to cite it. So, and I'm just using hotkeys, which I've explained to you before. And I want to get the specific site so that I can come right back there with no problems and actually write this up for my bibliography page, so we're good to go there. All right. There's a bunch of logos. So for Freddie, who spent his entire childhood defined in a study as 20 years in Sandtown, that meant he could expect 28% less in total adult income than children from average situations during his work life. What's more, Baltimore ranked dead last among the nation's large city. This wording is very specific. I feel like that's playing it a little too blue. The guy passed. His death was ruled a homicide, and I feel like using the term dead last sort of is pathetic. But I want to see if I can find a better representation than that. But I'm just gonna, just for the sake of trying to find it later, I'm underlining it. Among the nation's largest cities or counties in providing good outcomes for impoverished boys, the city fits too nearly into a pattern the Harvard professors Raj Chetty and Nathaniel Henderson discovered during their research of 5 million families who moved from one city or other in the country. Racially segregated areas with little opportunity and surrounded by suburban sprawl were especially vulnerable to growing kids who are more likely to have dire adulthoods. Girls suffer too, losing about 6% in earnings as an adult. But the effect on boys is particularly stark. What's troublesome is the situation we describe in the study also generally means that those kids will later be faced with higher probability of jail time, drug use, and teen pregnancies. All these things seem to go together. The study doesn't offer a template avoiding such situations, though it strongly hints that children of families who get out of neighborhoods like Sandtown do better. Children who eventually live in better areas earn higher incomes in their 20s. The study found with each year lived in what researchers called higher mobility communities, contributing to higher earnings. So, honestly, I think that's the sort of there's a bunch of diction in here, and remember, diction is the way that words are used that is outside of their meaning or superseding their meaning, meaning like, yeah, dead means one thing, but here it's like sort of, it's also kind of alluding to what happened. It's kind of brings your mind in while you're reading back to whatever situation is at hand. So I want to go through again and just look at the word choices. A sea of disadvantage. All right, that's logo, or that's pathos, because like that's hyperbole. Is there such a thing as a sea of disadvantage? I mean, I would argue that there's quite a bit of disadvantage, but that particular sort of hopeless sort of picture it paints in your head is like detrimental, and I think that's pathiotic. It meant he could expect blah blah blah. Average situation during his work life. Dead last. The city fits into all too neatly. This sort of like makes it ironic, sort of lends it an ironic tone, like, of course, which it is sort of like very uncanny. Dire, that's another good word. So those words, and I'm gonna do some fancy stuff right here. And put that over in my organizer, and I can afford to do that. I don't have to write it all down, so I still have my underlines. So I'm good to go. I got space to waste. I don't have to worry about paper. Now, insofar as ethos, what qualifies this author? How is he qualifying his argument? One word. Harvard. He says Harvard. Let's find out. How many times? There are 3 paragraphs. He says it twice. That's pretty good. He's trafficking on their good name. So I'm just going to write, I'm going to paraphrase something. If I write a paper of this, I'm going to talk about how the author uses the information. Actually, in the, so he's not got a lot of words in there, and 2 of them being used on Harvard lets me know that he's depending on that to sort of justify what he's saying, and I think that's probably good enough. We have our citation right here. I'm just going to copy it and put it in all of them, so just so that I remember exactly where I got this information from. And guys, this is exactly how I do it for myself. In grad school, I have to track a lot of information from a lot of scholarly articles, and this is the format that I use. I just copy and paste, put it in where I want it, because I'm not trying to spend my time handwriting notes. No one's got time for that. All right. I'll continue talking to you in real life. Have a good day.